2001, I was a United First Officer flying the 767, 757 based in New York. The United base then was not the United base it is today, which has about 2,500 pilots. It was a small base, and Captain Genovese was the chair there for several years while I was flying out of that base, and I think he would agree with me that it was a close community. There was a lot of good people in that base. We became friends. We flew with each other regularly. And I flew with Vic Saraceni and Jason Dow several times. And I'm wearing this uniform today in memory of them, the good men that they were, and the great captains. It's hard to believe that this is the last time I will be addressing this board as ALPA's first vice president and national safety coordinator. The past 4 years have been unprecedented for our union, as Joe described. I'm immensely proud of the work that this officer team has accomplished and the work that the Air Safety Organization has done as well. It has been my pleasure to lead this amazing group of pilot representatives. As I said before, we are stronger together, and you heard it from Joe, nothing speaks more to the power of ALPA than the addition of 12 pilot groups to our association since 2019. Our actions during these past 4 years demonstrate that we have made a difference, and together we have made our union stronger. I echo Joe in congratulating and welcoming the representatives from Raven, Alaska, IAERO, and Breeze here today for their first ALPA Executive Board meeting. Welcome to the team, and remember, no pilot operates completely alone. Our union will go literally anywhere in the world to help our members in need. Right, Jeremy? In today's environment, especially the operational issues the entire aviation industry has faced as we recover from the pandemic, it is more important than ever that we confront these threats affecting our pilot community in the United States, in Canada, and around the world. As the worldwide marketplace continues to grow, we cannot sit back and react. We must be proactive and fully informed. We must be in the room and at the table. Only then will we be in position to assess how these issues will affect us and what strategies we must establish to advocate for or against these policies before they are implemented. To that end, I would like to share with you how your union has worked on the international front since the last meeting. Our association is a key member of the International Federation of Airline Pilots Association, ALPA, which is based in Montreal. It's right across the street from the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, the organization responsible for developing the standards and recommended practices for the global aviation industry. At ALPA's annual conference in Singapore this May, Joe and I met with key FAA leaders to emphasize the importance of supporting the prioritization of robust voluntary safety programs and safety management systems at the airlines in the Asia-Pacific region. While the pandemic impacted how ICAO and ALPA conducted business, the work of our union has continued. It was refreshing to meet in person for these productive conversations, which I am hopeful will influence the development of international policy that will ultimately have a significant positive impact on the pilots in that region. Later this month, ICAO will hold its triennial assembly to discuss worldwide aviation policy. Your union will be represented, and I will be among the ALPA team in Montreal. In advance of that meeting, we have been working with the Departments of Transportation, Homeland Security, and State, along with the FAA, TSA, and the U.S. mission to ICAO, to share our perspectives on multiple topics, including single pilot or reduced crew operations, mandatory retirement age for pilots, and sustainability. In a letter from Joe to the Transportation Secretary Buttigieg, which highlighted our thoughts on various issues and provided information to the U.S. delegation, who will also be attending the ICAO Assembly. Discussions with this group on U.S. priorities are ongoing. And speaking of the Department of Transportation, in July, the Department of Transportation dismissed Hungarian's low-cost carrier Wizz Air's application to operate in the United States. Concerns that ALPA raised with the Department of Transportation included the carrier's extreme anti-labor position, its refusal to respect court orders that directed the carrier to rehire a crew who had won their jobs back in court, and the potential impact on safety on this toxic culture as evidenced by anonymous complaints sent to the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA. Now let me just point out that we made 3 arguments why they should disapprove this application, okay? I want you to understand when I talk about next, the argument that they took and they moved forward on was the safety argument. And we've been saying all along, after the 737 MAX accidents, and looking at that accident investigation report about the positive safety culture, the lack of it in parts of the world that are flying these airplanes, that do not allow pilots to come forth voluntarily because they feel like they're going to be retaliated against. And those are the arguments that we made, and that's what that's what won the day. That safety argument won the day with the Department of Transportation. The FAA was, excuse me, ALPA and the European Cockpit Association led a host of labor groups in calling on the Department of Transportation to engage the European Commission to discuss labor's concerns with Wizz Air. In rejection, the Department of Transportation wrote, the FAA has advised us that it cannot make a determination at this time as to whether the safety oversight of Wizz Air is sufficient to support the award of economic authority to the applicant. That's what they wrote. We won that argument, and we won it on the safety mantle. We thank the Department of Transportation for upholding the FAA's practical ability to assess the safety of foreign carriers who seek to operate to and from the world's largest air service market. Those of you who sat here during one of my first remarks back in 2019, I spoke about Wizz Air and its CEO's mission to get pilots out of the flight deck. It's no surprise this anti-labor outfit is among those leading the charge to dilute safety. Also, on the Department of Transportation front, after ALPA and Waltzing Matilda reached an agreement earlier this year that protects U.S. pilots, the Department of Transportation approved Waltzing Matilda's petition for a U.S. FAR Part 121 operating certificate. While we were disappointed that the DOT did not codify this agreement in its final order, we were successful in formalizing with Waltzing Matilda's management proper labor conditions for the U.S. flight crews. Through my role as the National Safety Coordinator, it seems only fitting that I address you today during my last executive board as we're gearing up for our first in-person Air Safety Forum since 2019. The dark shadow cast by the pandemic has affected us all, and I'm grateful for the work of the Air Safety Organization's leaders and representatives. They continue to work without missing a beat. This year's Air Safety Forum will feature 2 awards banquets. On Tuesday, we currently have over 570 people registered to attend that banquet. 570. We'll have a banquet on Tuesday, and on Thursday evening as well. It's a little less, it's around 500. To honor selected pilots for their tireless efforts to advance the profession and showcase heroic actions by several of our crews to maintain the safety of their flights. I hope you can all join us for those great events. Let me say a little bit more about the Air Safety Forum. Prior to coming into office, there was an Air Safety Forum and there was a Pilot Assistance Forum. Under Joe's leadership, after being the NSC and what I felt the same way, we thought it was best to get both of those groups together since they're all in the Air Safety Forum and have one forum with everybody in the hotel developing that relationship. And we saw how effective that was during the pandemic. All 4 of those groups, jump seat, pilot assistance, security, safety, working day in and day out, attacking the issues that the pandemic was giving us. So they're all together here for the first time. The second thing I want to say is thank you. Through the sponsors, we've raised $63,000 for this Air Safety Forum. And I want to thank United for $10,000, Delta for $5,000, Alaska for $5,000, JetBlue for $5,000, JetBlue for 2 pairs of tickets to be raffled off during the Air Safety Forum as well. So big thank you and shout out for all of you. And I look everybody else in this room for the next year's Air Safety Forum to get involved with your companies and get them to support this event. And I appreciate that in advance. As Joe stated, tomorrow morning, our first ever Pilot Symposium will kick off at 8:30. This 2-day event is the culmination of a hard work, a lot done by Joe and others, and the determination of our pilot assistance volunteers and staff under the direction of Pilot Assistance Chair First Officer John Taylor. Also on the pilot assistance side, the ASO has been busy bringing together ALPA leaders, staff, and other aviation medical advisors, and our aviation medical advisor, Dr. Quay Snyder, to assist the FAA with research to provide the scientific evidence needed to maintain the age 65, which included a study from EASA in 2019. After the last executive board in May, where this body adopted a resolution opposing any attempts to increase the retirement age for our professional airline pilots, Senator Lindsey Graham and Representative Chip Roy introduced legislation that attempts to raise the mandatory retirement age for professional airline pilots to age 67. This legislation is another misguided attempt to solve a problem that does not exist. ALPA has been aggressively pushing back in the media and on Capitol Hill against the false pilot shortage narrative that is being used to cover up to attempt to roll back key safety regulations like the retirement age that have helped make the U.S. airlines the safest in the world. Per our current ALPA policy and your direction earlier this year, we will continue to push back against any attempt to weaken aviation safety. Listen, for those of us in the room who work for United States Airlines, let's be clear about one thing. ALPA's success comes in large part due to our pilot partisan friends in Congress. Our pilot partisan friends in Congress. As the treasurer of ALPA PAC, I'm proud to report that ALPA has friends on both sides of the aisle, and we will continue to rely on their support. This last quarter, as Joe talked about, I'm going to get into a little bit more details here. We have also added a government affairs link to the ALPA app. On the ALPA app, our United States members can see how much they have contributed to the ALPA PAC and their status on the latest calls to action. The government affairs link also allows our members to sign up for the ALPA PAC right from their phone. We have not gotten rid of the cumbersome paper PAC sign-up cards, but I'm hoping through your leadership in this room, we have made it easier for you to continue to recruit new ALPA PAC volunteers. Now, you can see the new advocacy app there on the bottom left. If you have the app on your phone, you may have to log off and to log back in to get that to come up, depending on the phone and the software. Once you hit advocacy, you get into the government affairs portion of the app, and it's all right there, and you can see the different levels of contributions that you can sign up for right from the phone. Listen, I would be remiss if I didn't take some time to thank the ALPA ID department for their hard work in developing the Jump Seat Flight Finder, DART reporting system, and now adding advocacy content to the ALPA app. Well done. Thank you from all of my Air Safety Organization pilot volunteers who have worked alongside your team. Throughout the history of our profession, there have been often times when corporate interests try to exploit pilots and safety to maximize profits. Beginning with the pilot pushing from management that brought our founding members together, ALPA's response to external pressure has been constant. We close ranks and act in unity. Simply as that. For more than 91 years, we have looked at the facts, made data-driven decisions, took care of each other, stood together as one, and today we continue to fight. Joe talked about Republic. Joe talked about SkyWest. So I'm just moving through this a little bit for you, just so that you know. And that is exactly what we continue to do. ALPA leadership and staff are working alongside Department of Transportation officials, pushing back against those alter egos like SkyWest that Joe described that have no place in the realm of commercial, reliable, and safe aviation. For more than 9 decades, ALPA pilots have been committed to getting our passengers and cargo safety to destinations around the globe. Our motto has been scheduled with safety, and we live and breathe that mantra every day when we fly the line. We must remember that our nation's extraordinary safety record is because of our collective, unwavering commitment to aviation safety. As testament to ALPA's commitment to our ongoing efforts to ensure that 5G cellular signal expansion is done safely and without any adverse effects to aviation. Since first shining the light on this issue to regulators and other stakeholders years ago, we have collaborated with industry counterparts and the FAA to continue discussions with the telecoms. Next slide, please. Under the direction of the ASO Safety Chair, Captain Frank Pizzonia, these discussions have been productive. We are hopeful that by July of next year, we will be able to reach our collective goal of removing all current NOTAMs and have proper effective mitigations in place that will enable 5G safe expansion. Earlier today, we honored colleagues who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001. In the aftermath of our nation's responded to these hideous attacks and several measures we put in place to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again, those measures have helped to make the U.S. commercial aviation the safest mode of transportation in the world. However, for the past 15 years, we have been fighting for the installation of secondary barriers, as Joe discussed, to secure the flight deck. I'm going to go into a little bit more details on the rulemaking. On August 1st, the FAA at long last issued the notice proposed rulemaking requiring secondary barriers for newly manufactured passenger aircraft. The notice, as drafted, has a 2-year compliance timeline once the final rule is issued. So once they get through the rulemaking process, 2 years from that timeline, they have to have it in place. Our security team, led by Aviation Security Chair Wolfgang Capt, is drafting comments, and those comments will include why not retrofit the rest of the fleet that's already out there, especially maybe the newer generation airplanes that we're taking delivery of. He's drafting these comments, and we expect the FAA to issue the final rule the end of next year, which is basically the end of 2023, which means essentially you go through 24, 25, and on January 1st of 26, if the timeline's right, those airplanes should be coming off the line with secondary barriers. Our ASO security team has also been working closely with the Department of Homeland Security and TSA on other high-profile items. Wolfgang, as part of his work on the Aviation Security Advisory Committee, played a vital role in development of just culture recommendation that is being brought forward to the TSA. Airline pilots know firsthand the benefits of this non-punitive safety culture, and I'm grateful for Wolfgang's continued efforts to expand the successful concept to the security side of our aviation system. The ASO security team also continues to bring awareness to how flight crews can help fight human trafficking. In 2019, ALPA has been a strong partner in fighting aviation-related human trafficking through the Blue Lightning Initiative from the Department of Homeland Security. In case you're not aware, we offer training that can help pilots identify potential traffickers and human trafficking victims and how to report suspicions to federal law enforcement. You can access this training through the ALPA Academy, ALPA's online training system. And if you have not already, I highly encourage you to participate. My family has firsthand experience witnessing the important roles of flight crews in having to fight human trafficking. On a flight last spring, my wife noticed a woman place a young girl in the middle seat next to her, say something in Spanish, and strap her in her seatbelt. The woman then went up and sat in the front of the aircraft. Partnering with the passenger on the aisle seat, who also happened to be a minor league baseball player, they noticed the fact that the girl had nothing. No bag, no luggage, no purse. She just sat there. She avoided all eye contact, refused anything to eat or drink. The jacket she was wearing still had a store tag on it. And then when she fell asleep and her head fell back, they noticed what looked like a healed slash mark on her neck. They identified a potential human trafficking situation was underway. They notified the crew, which allowed the authorities to arrest the woman on board and her partner, who was milling about in the baggage claim area, ensuring the safety of this young girl. It is stories like these that fuel the hundreds of volunteers of the Air Safety Organization to continue to work to continue the work we do on behalf of our pilots across the United States and Canada, and that is just one story. In fact, I'm proud of all the work our ASO volunteers have accomplished over the last 4 years. To make this vital part of ALPA even stronger, over the next few days, I'm going to ask you to consider a few relevant resolutions. One, we're having a request to remove the Accident Investigation Board out from under the pillar of the Accident Analysis Prevention Silo. I know that there are some things and issues that are being discussed about that right now. I'm going to work with that over the next few days, and we may or may not move forward with that agenda item. The second agenda item has to deal with adding a hotel security SME to the security side of the operation. You know that our crews are in hotels, and security is one of the biggest factors that they face on their layovers, and so we think that we should have a hotel SME as part of that security group. Thank you in advance for reading that and considering those two agenda items. Nearly 4 years ago, this leadership team took office. We had no idea what was ahead of us or for the industry. As we have learned from the past 4 years, there is no checklist for handling the issues brought about by a global pandemic, the grounding of an aircraft, or a government shutdown. But we do know that the decisions we made and continue to make today impact our industry for years to come. For over 91 years, we have stood our ground, worked on the side of safety first, and continue to be the conscience of the industry. I am excited about what lies ahead for ALPA. I really am. It has been an honor to serve as your first Vice President and National Safety Coordinator, and I'm grateful to have each and every one of you on the team. Thank you for your time, and please continue to fly safe.